For 16 years, a bill for single-payer health care coverage has been introduced in the House of Representatives, H.R. 676. Last year, there were 124 co-sponsors for it, and this year is the greatest support single-payer or Medicare for all has ever had in America, which is why this year it was important for our corporatized politicians to give that number, H.R. 676, to a different bill. This year, it's the NATO Support Act. Yes, because NATO was feeling really unsupported. It was, it was just really like down on itself. It was like having a crisis of self-confidence, The North American Treaty Organization is 70 years old this coming April 4th and has become an aggressive arm of our military. Many view NATO as a war-legitimizing body, as if the United States is standing there waving its arms like a horny gorilla with a semi-automatic rifle. And NATO is like the zookeeper, like, come on. You can't throw your shit at everybody, all right? And when NATO signs off on a military action, it's like the zookeeper going, okay, throw it at that guy. Yeah, just that guy, though. That guy's a douche nozzle. Author and anti-war activist David Swanson said, NATO is used within the U.S. and by other NATO members as a cover to wage wars under the pretense that they are somehow more legal or acceptable. Placing a primarily U.S. war under the banner of NATO also helps to prevent congressional oversight of that war. Yes, people think that NATO wars are the good wars. There's almost no such thing as good wars, all right? Not coming from an imperialist, belligerent, bloated military like ours with between 800 and 1,000 military bases around the world. You can't go, well, that one over there, that was the good one. That was the one that... Ignore the 500 other bombings, but this missile, that's a good one. That's a noble one right there. That's like putting like a little piece of kale on top of a deep-fried Twinkie tower and then go, this is my healthy time snack right here because that kale right there. Like, how long can you do that before someone goes, well, if that's healthy, why do you have an ass in the front? So it's about fucking time we look at NATO and go, what makes all of your wars the good wars? But the MIC resistance and the mainstream outlets will tell you NATO is just a defensive measure against Russia. But in reality, NATO has waged aggressive wars far from the North Atlantic, bombing Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kosovo, Serbia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Libya. NATO has added a partnership with Colombia, abandoning all pretense of its purpose being in the North Atlantic. For those who need reminding, many of the NATO missions have been catastrophic and had nothing to do with Russia. Just to use the example of Libya, with the U.S. and France leading the way, NATO took a country that was one of the most developed in Africa and turned it into a smoldering heap of warring extremists. Organized mass human murder is not better or nicer when it has a NATO banner next to it, okay? That's just the Christmas wreath on the serial murderer's house. It's just there to make you think everything is fine, but it's not. You send in some investigators and what are they gonna go? Oh, I think this is a good guy. He dressed up the bodies in the basement with nice little bow ties. But some of you Trump voters out there will say, well, Trump promised to rein in NATO and maybe even withdraw from NATO. Yeah, but has he? Trump also promised that no one would ever in a million years be as humble as he is. Has that been true? As David Swanson pointed out, when it comes to actions, Trump has not taken any actions to limit or end or withdraw from NATO. You see, Trump likes to promise both sides of an issue. So whichever one he does, he can say, look, I'm delivering my promises. He literally promised to pull back our global military presence and also build up our military bigger than ever. So no matter what he does, he's a great promise keeper. You know, I use this tactic sometimes too. I'll tell a lady friend that I'm amazing in bed, and then also tell her I'm the worst. And then no matter what happens, I'm like, I told you. No, our military is bigger than ever, NATO is bigger than ever, and we're dropping more bombs than ever. And both the Democrats and the Republicans support this festival of mass murder. Only 22 members of the House voted against the Support NATO bill this week, and I'm pretty sure those 22 thought it was a single-payer healthcare bill. Others argue that NATO shows how well nations can cooperate in the world. Yes, it shows we can come together and bomb Muslim countries while holding hands. It just warms the heart. No, the notion that supporting NATO is a way to cooperate with the world ignores superior, non-deadly ways to cooperate with the world. Oh, maybe there are ways to cooperate that don't bomb children. Never occurred to me. Saying NATO is the only way to come together is like saying the only way you can befriend your neighbors is to join forces in murdering other people. I really bonded with my neighborhood. Every Sunday we go across train tracks and beat people to death with tire irons. We're just peas in a pod now. NATO is 70 years old this April 4th, and it's time to stand up against their endless wars. There will be a No to NATO, Yes to Peace festival here in Washington, D.C., April 3rd and 4th. Look it up and learn what the mainstream media won't tell you.